This episode of I've Had It is brought to you by Booking.com. Since 2010, they've helped over 1.8 billion vacation rental guests find places to stay. That's billion with a B. Head over to Booking.com and start your listing today. Get seen, get booked on Booking.com. So are we supposed to start the podcast?
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Patriots, gay triots, they triots, black triots, brown triots, and the people that marginalize and pick on those people can do what, Pumps?
Fuck off! When I was in Chicago, I was walking downtown and somebody just walked by and said, fuck off!
Oh my God, that's such a great exchange. Like, that's such a great, I listened to your podcast. I know what you do. That's perfect.
Yeah, I loved it. Which, by the way, I spent a night in Chicago. We walked like 5 miles in downtown Chicago. In fact, it's not a war zone. It's actually quite lovely. Despite popular reports by the administration, it was wonderful and peaceful and enjoyable.
I love a big city, and this attack on blue cities is so insane, especially considering all of the suburban and rural areas that need the tax dollars from these cities to function. Right. And so it's just so idiotic, like so many things that they do. And these fascists are just more than I can take. All right, Pumps, what have you had it with?
Well, along those lines, I have had it with the President of the United States and everyone surrounding him acting like petulant children. For example, Caroline KKK Levitt, in responding to a question, says, your mom. Like your mom did. These people are the biggest bottom feeders. They wouldn't even make JV's JV team of political operatives. And so what I've had it with is the dumbest people in the United States of America being in power. And we are celebrating stupid people right now.
So there's actually something to this, Pump. So the authoritarian, which unfortunately, as we all know, is Kanks, has to be the smartest guy in the room. We've all heard him talk, right?
Right.
We've all heard him drone on and on and on about IQ tests and dementia tests and animal identification tests. Look, I nailed picking a giraffe out on a piece of paper. So we know that he's not very bright. So nobody can outshine him in that. So what remains are, I think we're getting into double-digit IQ people here. For example, your example of Caroline KKK, I wear my crucifix cross, Levitt. She doesn't have the intelligence or the emotional intelligence or the critical thinking skills to deduce. I'm part of a movement that likes to say, what would Jesus do? While at the same time, I lie nonstop 24/7, 365 to protect a group of pedophiles and pedophile protectors, which I don't think Jesus would want me to do. And I'm answering text messages with your mom, which I don't know. I'm not a Christian, Pumps, but you used to be one. I would reckon that's not very Christ-like. And so you have just a lot of dipshits, and listener on our other podcast, we decided dipshit didn't go far enough. So we're going to replace the word dipshit with the word fucktwats. Because dipshit it wasn't enough. No. And Caroline Levitt is what, Pumps? She's a fucktwat. And then Pete Hegseth is a fucktwat. Yeah. And Dumb and Dumber are fucktwats. So I agree with you. I mean, it's so horrible to see stupid people in charge of very important positions.
It's really like, especially when I think about like what other countries think of our leadership. I'm sure it's what we think about Benjamin Netanyahu or Viktor Orban, just complete and total corrupt criminals. And that's where we are. And at one point, is the United States have a history of a lot of really bad mistakes. Yes. But at least we valued expertise, decency, and now I feel like it's just, I'm going to be the biggest dick on the planet because I am so insecure. And we're going to pretend like the United States government is a WWE ring. And it's just, it's beneath all of us. I feel like it's just beneath us.
So you said what other countries think. And for pre-Donald Trump, other countries thought of Americans as being arrogant, loud, and trashy. And our leadership didn't always match up with the population. There was a sense of decency and decorum. And now the leadership matches the caricature in which our population has been defined.
Yep.
Arrogant, loud, prude, hypocritical, not critical thinkers, ethnocentric. And Donald Trump is the manifestation of all of the worst parts of our culture brought to light. He represents the worst facets of American culture, and every culture has components to it that are, defects. And Donald Trump has rounded up all of the defects that as a culture we have created, and he represents all of them on steroids. And now we unfortunately have a leader that reflects the worst impulses of Americans. And the fact that Americans go around thinking, like that he says, we're respected in the world now, our country's on fire, we were a dead country, when the evidence points to the contrary. And again, he's got all of these, he's low IQ and he's surrounded by even lower IQ people because nobody can outshine the fucktwat in charge, the HFTIC, the head fucktwat in charge. Nobody can outshine him. So you've got a bunch of fucktwats. Nobody's telling him, hey, you're actually wrong about that. Our popularity globally is plummeting, and people think you are a fascist and a dictator. But nobody will tell him that because it's all circle jerk of fucktwattery on steroids.
That's asking too much of the people surrounding him. They haven't told him he, in fact, did not settle 8 wars. They have not, in fact, told him the difference between an insane asylum and people seeking asylum. So the popularity of him in the United States and abroad seems like way too big of a stretch if we can't do these little bitty things.
All right. So let me tell you what I've had it with. I've had it with being in a position as a podcaster, as a progressive podcaster, and as a Democrat, where a lot of the Democratic establishment leadership is so impotent that we have to spend time criticizing them when we should all be united against fascism, and we should all be united in upholding universal human rights. And instead, when we have a senator on the show that's an establishment Democrat or a congressperson that's an establishment Democrat, we have to talk to them about their corporate donors, and we have to get word salad answers. And this is not the time for that. It just, I've had it. I ran into a guy on the street the other day in New York. He had a Frenchie. I had my 2 Frenchies. And he was like, hey, I love listening to you. Keep going after those establishment Democrats, like the Bookers, the Jeffries, the Schumers. They're the ones who are selling us down the river right now. And I said, yeah, I know. And my heart kind of sank because those are the people that should be morally shining. Their fight and their plight against this regime should be outstanding. It should, every time they're at the podium and they're not up there enough, it should be an all-out assault. And to the MAGA people listening, I'm not talking about a physical assault, you fucktwats. I'm talking about a verbal assault. So Fox News, you don't have to go on a 24-hour bender saying Jennifer Welch wants to kill conservatives, because I don't. I want your fat asses to have health care. But I digress. So they should be verbally assaulting these people because, as we mentioned earlier with your grievance, They're not smart.
No.
It's a very simple thing to point out that Caroline Leavitt is a complete propagandist hypocrite with the maturity of a 9-year-old. It is obvious to point out that Donald Trump is flailing, is in mid to late stage dementia, can't walk in a straight line, rolls out the red carpet to murderous regimes, kisses a war criminal's ass when he should have him arrested. These should be very simple things to point out. But when you're the leader of a party and you take money from the same organization, and I'm talking about AIPAC, and AIPAC spent the same amount of money electing Donald Trump that Elon Musk did. If it would be a conflict of interest, Booker, Hakeem, and Chuckles, to take money from Elon Musk, which I think it would be toxic and electoral death sentence, it equally should be with AIPAC. And if you notice the Democrats that are having a problem leading right now, the common thread that I've seen in all of these people pumps is AIPAC donations. And then they're unable to have moral clarity about the Israeli government. And it's a very simple statement to make that we stand against anti-Semitism, we stand against Islamophobia, homophobia, we stand against all forms of bigotry because we believe in universal human rights. Benjamin Netanyahu and his military don't believe in universal human rights. And in fact, the BBC has reported that a lot of children, Palestinian children, when they did autopsies in them, I think the number is 170 or 180, had bullet wounds in their chest or in their head. And we're funding that. And so that should be a real layup morally to speak about. Also, the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu would not take Joe Biden's same ceasefire deal.
Right.
But he took it for the fuck twat kinks. No problem. And so when you're taking money from the people that want to get fascists elected and want to tear down democracy, you're not a credible messenger. This isn't a purity test. This is, are you a credible messenger? Can you walk the walk and talk the talk? We don't have to agree on 100% everything, but I would just think executing little kids would be a deal breaker. That call me crazy.
Well, putting pedophiles in jail should be something we all agree on. Trafficking children, everybody should agree on that, but we don't. And I think you make such a good point, and you put it in such a great, very eloquently stated, because it would be so nice that we never had to question the leadership that we had in the Democratic Party right now, because it's a very overwhelming and scary time. And that we could all, every single person in the party, unite with a single message and behind leaders. But it's like they're holding on to what lost us the House, the Senate, and the presidency last time. And I don't see it getting better. Hopefully
what they're hanging on to is corporate donations. And specifically, the more and more you look into it, all roads kind of lead to this AIPAC situation. And the Democrats are all united on releasing the Epstein files. We're united on so many things. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries just last week was calling Moses Mike Grinder Johnson and Kanks that they were running a pedophile protection project. I loved it. All props to Hakeem on that. He has had a really hard time endorsing Mamdani. He has a hard time answering questions about what the future of the Democratic Party is, because he's beholden to the same corporations that fund and want Donald Trump and or Donald Trump affiliate style candidates to reign, because they will help unregulated capitalism dick over the working class, and they provide a common enemy for everyone to rally around, which during the election, the common enemy were trans people and immigrants. And now we've moved on to the common enemy being from within.
Right.
being the people that go to the No Kings March. And so it's just, it's insane. And I expect every single thing that I get from a MAGA politician. I expect the low IQ, sophomoric, juvenile responses from Caroline Leavitt. I expect Pete Hegseth to be a drunk ass texting chats and war plans in Signal. I expect the Senate and the House to not do a goddamn thing about it, the Republicans in the Senate and the House, because they are fucking pussies. I expect all of that, but I refuse to lower my standards for the Democratic establishment. And I think that that's where the pressure needs to be applied the most. They are disconnected from where the electorate is. And if they are looking at focus groups and statisticians, and I just read a report the other day that a report came out from a focus group hired by the DNC or some Democratic strategy that the Democrats needed to talk less about LGBTQ plus issues. And I just think if y'all are going to listen to this shit and you're going to play pick me politician, nobody's going to like you. Nobody will like you. If you start throwing groups of people under the bus, you're fucked. And if you lead with an economic populist message and the right responds with, well, I don't want these, bathrooms and these sports issues. And then you say, whatever you want to believe about that is your business. But in our political party, we don't bully people, and our financial equality message and making sure that billionaires pay what needs to be paid, making sure that we put regulations on capitalism so there aren't cancer clusters and deaths popping up all over the place and Boeings falling out of the sky, applies to everybody, even the people you hate. Because at some point, white, MAGA, triple Trumper, somebody you hate might be a family member. Right. Somebody might give birth to a gay kid or a trans kid, or your grandkid might marry a black person. And so we're going to just stay here and fight for all of these universal human rights through our message of economic equality as best we can. And if you want to hate on people and you want to buy into all of that, swing for the fences. We disagree with you. You even make us sick, but we're still going to fight for your right to not have to file medical bankruptcy. And I've just, at the end of my ropes with the ambiguity from Democratic leadership. And it is just more maddening than what's happening with MAGA, because I expect it from these people. Right. We grew up in a red state. None of this is a surprise to me. Donald Trump's song and pony routine is the same shit that it was 10 years ago. I can't even hardly listen to his press conferences anymore because of the sheer boredom of it, because he can't diversify his crazy game at all. It's the same old, tired, boring shit with a lot more dementia sprinkled in. It's not even entertaining. It's not even, it doesn't even really evoke that much emotion from me anymore, other than to say, is this all he has? Is this all he can do? All right. Welcome to I've Had It. I'm Jennifer.
I'm Angie. HBIC stands for Beaver.
Head Beaver in charge. We have a producer named Kylie. Kylie.
Hi. I have to show you guys, and I'll describe it for the listener, what Anna got me. It's a chapstick, and it says Beaver Liquors. Beaver Balm. And then it says, for the softest beaver lips guaranteed.
That's a pretty lesbian purchase.
Beaver Liquors.
Beaver Liquors. I think that's about the gayest lip balm I've ever seen.
I like it. Is it good lip balm?
It's basic. It's like chapstick lesbian vibe.
Okay. Well, I love a chapstick, so.
Okay, I've got...
Pumps, wait, hang on. I have to tell you. Pumps, I started a rumor when you went to Maine on the podcast when Josh subbed for you that you went to Maine on a lesbian trip. I just thought it was exciting.
Well, that would be the most exciting thing that would have happened to me.
And then you posted the picture of you and your girlfriends, and y'all were wearing like flannels and stuff. Did you notice the picture, Kylie?
My girlfriend that moved up there, she drives. So we're driving around in our full flannel gear. She drives a humongous white pickup truck. because they have all this lumber and they're constantly. So here we are, the four of us driving around in a pickup truck all over Maine. Yeah. I consider it a compliment to be called a lesbian. Thank you very much. We know that
You're
all
welcome.
lesbians should be in
I
charge
just thought
of
it was fun to kind of start a little rumor.
Yeah. And that
It's
would mean
not
I would
that-
have had sex.
It's not that far-fetched because she was on a girls' trip that one time, you remember, and she came home. She said, Kylie, I was on that girls' trip and we couldn't figure out how to work the vibrator.
That's true. That is true. But it wasn't like we were going to use it. I had just said,
Sure.
I got this vibrator. I don't know how to use
That's
it.
what I do with my girlfriends.
Turn it on, bring it on the trip, and we'll figure it out. None of us could figure it out. But I don't know how to. And maybe if we'd been able to turn it on, we would have used it. You never know.
Okay, I've got a 1-star review titled Wow. And they write, definitely poster children for the failures of the American education system. Dumb, political, dumb.
Okay.
That's called projection.
I'm going to say, and I've said this before, I am never not surprised by the intensity and action people take about something they believe is dumb or stupid.
Right.
Like if I think something is dumb or stupid, I think the thought and then I let it go. I don't dig around the internet to go troll on ratings, like people that write, 2 and 3-star reviews on Yelp. And then you go and look and they're like a expert Yelper, 500 posts, and it's like some people, that's their whole identity. And a couple of weeks ago, I was like looking at my Instagram and it was just like, die. We hope you get Charlie Kirk, all this shit. So while you were on your lesbian trip to Maine. So I text Kylie and I was like, hey, am I going viral somewhere or something? And she goes, oh yeah. Yeah, Fox.
What was it?
They said that I wanted to kill conservatives.
And Democrats, which was odd.
And Democrats, which of course I don't. Like I don't even have a gun. I hate violence, whatever. But they took a clip of something was said in I Hip News out of context. And so it just goes on all day. And then of course they find your kids. So I was talking to my son last night and he goes, Mom, were you going viral or something last week? And I go, oh God, I'm so sorry. And he goes, yeah, I got some DMs. And I always respond, typical MAGA pedo coming into some kid's DM and then blocks them. Pretty clever of my child, but it's true.
Really clever.
Okay, I've got a 5-star review. This one is titled Refreshing Honesty, and they write, these hosts are the only people showing MAGA the energy they deserve. So naturally, the 1-star patriots are crying. I love the honesty. It's giving me the confidence to tell the truth to the snowflake, stupid losers in my life.
Love it.
Love it. Love it. As we've mentioned, it should be a layup to call these people out because they're, number one, they're so stupid. Number two, they stand up for really bad ideas that we've already evolved past. And if your whole identity is trolling the internet, writing 1-star reviews or finding some podcaster's children online and just, and your bio is like, Christian, patriot, badass. Everybody knows you're a fucking nightmare. I mean, I know for sure if somebody puts their faith in their bio, that they are the biggest nightmare on the planet.
Absolutely. I mean, if you have to tell me how Christian you are, I immediately know you suck.
Oh, here's another one. When you were on your lesbian trip to Maine, Riley Gaines. Remember when we popped off on Riley Gaines?
Yes.
So then she responds that she's, quote, praying for us. And here's the thing with Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines, you are a walking, talking, breathing embodiment of exactly why someone should not be a Christian.
Right.
Your, what's it called? Walk with Christ or testimony or witnessing?
Witness to or give
her
testimony.
Witnessing or whatever. It's like to see somebody like her, that her whole identity is she finds her worth as a woman through marriage. And then she encourages other people, like, this is how you can find your worth. For some people, that's a great component. My marriage is a great component of happiness in my life. But this projection that everybody has to live her hypocritical Christian life, Riley Gaines, when she doesn't give a shit about kids losing SNAP benefits. She doesn't give a shit about the overt racism. She's never thought deep enough to think, could my kid be gay? And if my kid was gay, am I a big enough girl to put on my big girl panties to love my child through this? And it's just this knee-jerk faux Christianity that is this, centimeter deep only. And when I see the Riley Gaines of the world, and it's always looped into like her biblical worldview and all of this shit.
Biblical worldview.
I think you are a walking, talking advertisement on why not to be a Christian.
Yes.
I mean, there's no empathy. There's no room that maybe not everybody's the same. There's no desire when you see injustice and the bullying of other human beings to put your body in front of that and stop it. And so she's a fucktwat.
She's a fucktwat that came in 5th. I mean, her claim to fame is coming in 5th in a swim race. 5th.
She also, like, if you notice, like people on Fox will say Olympic medalist, and she never corrects them, which I don't think is very Christ-like to let a lie like that.
No. They say she's an Olympic medalist on Fox. Why am I surprised? They like nonstop.
Yeah. All right. So Kylie, do we have any news?
I do. I've got a couple news stories. The first one is not shocking, and it says study shows America is officially one of the least peaceful places on earth. A new study revealed the U.S. ranks among the least peaceful countries in the world, citing issues such as crime, political instability, and high incarceration rates as leading factors.
I mean, the incarceration rates were something that I became privy to probably 15, 20 years ago. And because we have privatized the prisons, there is a financial incentive to incarcerate people. And it's jarring how much more citizens we incarcerate than even the most like conservative Sharia law type places on the planet. The United States incarceration rates are bananas.
Well, and, when you think about, there are as many guns in the United States as there are people. Like
there's more.
So there's more guns in the United States than people. And there's school shootings. You have military in the streets with huge guns. Like, it's the guns, people. That doesn't surprise me at all. With the political unrest, we've got National Guard ramming cars into other people, with masks on, like, doesn't surprise me in the least. And I tend to agree, because when you have signs outside businesses in Oklahoma City that says you can't bring a gun in here, it's off the fucking rails.
Okay, I've got another one. This one is man who faked being a lawyer won all 26 of his cases before being arrested. And this says, in a story that sounds straight out of a movie, a man posing as a lawyer reportedly won 26 cases in court before they caught on. According to the reports, the imposter gained a strong following after repeatedly outperforming licensed attorneys in high-stakes case, earning him the nickname the real-life Saul Goodman. His success stunned both clients and judges before he was finally exposed and arrested.
That is hilarious. And I love how, Pumps, I wish that in the US, how in the UK, the barristers have to wear the wigs. I think that would have been a really good look for you in divorce court with your gray wig on.
Well, I kind of have it, except if I didn't dye my hair, I'd be wearing it right now. Yeah. And I like that the lawyers get to wear the judges' robes. I think that's cool.
I do too. Yeah,
So,
I like it. It feels more legit.
Like
This episode of I've Had It is brought to you by Booking.com. Pumps, I've got to say, if you're looking to grow your vacation rental business, this is the place to be. Booking.com is one of the most downloaded travel apps in the entire world, and for good reason. Since 2010, they've helped over 1.8 billion vacation rental guests find places to stay. That's billion with a B. But here's the thing. Most vacation rentals don't even realize they can list their properties on Booking.com. And if you're not on the platform, your rental is basically invisible to millions of Booking.com travelers worldwide.
And nearly half of the hosts get their first booking within a week.
So listener, if your vacation rental isn't listed on Booking.com, it could be invisible to millions of travelers travelers searching the platform. Don't miss out on consistent bookings and global reach. Head over to booking.com and start your listing today. Get seen. Get booked on booking.com. All right, listener, let's talk about something every business owner knows too well: missed calls. Because missing a business call, that's like watching money fly out the window and straight into your competitor's hands. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, formerly OpenPhone, the smarter way to run your business communications. Quo is the #1 business phone system built for 2025, not 1995. Rated the top choice for customer satisfaction with over 3,000 reviews on G2. That's why over 90,000 businesses are already running on Quo. From solo operators to growing teams, Quo helps businesses stay connected and look professional. Quo is offering our listeners 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/hadit. That's quo.com/hadit. You can even keep your existing numbers for free. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. This episode of I've Had It is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations. All right, Pumps, I think it's time for our guest. You may remember the AI video after the No Kings rally, when all of MAGA fucktwats were like, oh shit, like they really hate us. And this was a good rally and nobody got arrested and it was peaceful and everybody's dancing and dressed in costumes and fighting for democracy. So they do what mature leaders of any country would do, is they make an AI video of the toxically masculine president wearing a queen's crown, photoshopped to be, I would say, 40, 50 pounds thinner than what he is in real life, and took off about 30, 40 years of him. Still look like shit, for the record.
Yeah,
flying an airplane, which we all know he could never do, and dropping shit on people. And one of the people that he dropped the shit on in this AI video is our next guest. And he is Harry Sisson, and he is a left-wing political commentator and social media influencer. Harry Sisson, welcome to I've Had It.
Oh, God, I am so excited to be here with both of you. I love both of you. My mom loves both of you. She'll send me you guys like Instagram reels all the time. And brief moment of honesty here. I saw you guys at the DNC all the way back in 2024. And my mom was such fans of you then, but I didn't come up to you because you guys were in the kind of creator area. You looked a little stressed. So I was like, I'm not going to bother them. But I just, it's so cool to be here.
Oh my gosh, the DNC was so fun.
Wasn't it?
We had so much hope. There was so much hope in that building.
Yeah, I mean, can't we just go back? You know what I mean? Like that feeling was so great. And I think everybody there really was hopeful. I think we all believed that we were going to win and finally put Trump into history. But unfortunately, we're here and we are dealing with, as you guys like to call them, kanks. Big ankles, bruised hands, all that crap,
Yeah. So, I mean, we were just talking about him beforehand, but I'm starting to see, and I'm curious, before we ask you what your grievances are, I'm curious if you've started to notice this. I feel like the MAGA movement, with the exception of little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson, who will go down with the ship with kanks. Okay. He's not ever going to defect. Ever. He is going to go down. But I feel like a lot of the others are kind of moving on. I'm talking about Tucker Carlson, J.D. Vance, Marjorie Taylor Greene. they are starting to treat him like the dementia-ridden lame duck that he is. And I'm starting to see the curtains close, and I'm starting to see them jockey and position themselves for a post-Kanks, how are we going to keep this cult together regime.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think that's both happening on an elected official level, but also like a voter level. So as you correctly pointed out, people like out of the blue, Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, I want people to have healthcare all of a sudden. It's like, wow,
Crazy.
Wonder why you're doing that now. That's interesting. Just a complete 180. And so you're seeing that with Marjorie Taylor Greene and the other folks you mentioned. But even on a voter level as well, I mean, I think I just saw this poll the other day that young men especially have really swung back toward the Democrats. I think people that look like me, straight white young guys, are finally realizing that Donald Trump does not care about them. He's not fighting for them. All of the promises he made to execute on day one have completely failed. And I think it's happening just across the country, elected and voter,
Love it. All right. Harry Sisson, what have you had it with?
Well, look, should I start political or cultural? Because
let's do cultural first. And then once we get into political, we're going to beat the shit out of that divorce.
Okay. That sounds good. So this actually connects to the conversation we just had. And it's more of a reflection of, again, people that look like me, young, straight, white guys. So I've had it, and this is a big one for me, with certain people saying that certain music is girly or not for everyone, that it's like gendered or you can't listen to it. And so, for example, people that say someone like Taylor Swift or Billie Eilish or the music they make, you can't listen to it if you're a guy. And my response, I think, is that these people are incredibly, incredibly talented. So you don't have to like their music. It doesn't have to be for you, but you can recognize their talent and recognize that maybe a guy that looks like you, plays football, goes to the gym, goes to bars, might be like, Taylor Swift is actually a really talented songwriter, and it's not girly per se or anything like that to listen to her and enjoy her expertise.
Yeah, I feel like we're all this said in it, and I really do think it's because of this MAGA movement, Project 2025, the trad wives. We're going back to, we have to have very defined gender roles. If you listen to that, you're effeminate. If you listen to this, you're masculine. And it's just, we've worked so hard to get past these stereotypical, ridiculous gender roles. And I just feel like and I know it's been long term, but it just seems like it's all come in crashing out during this regime.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think it's kind of like an overused phrase, I guess, these days. And some people scoff at you when you say it, but it's a toxic masculinity that kind of comes with Donald Trump, supporting Donald Trump. There's, I think, a good way to be a man, like to operate in society, treat people well. And the bad way is everything that Donald Trump embodies, right? This kind of gendered society where you can only do X, Y, and Z if you're a woman or a man, and you have to fit this certain mold, which, by the way, Donald Trump doesn't fit any of that. He claims to be all healthy, and look at him. I mean,
Well, and he wears a full face of makeup every single day.
Yeah,
and he's anti-drag queen. You know what I mean? It's just JD Vance with the eyeliner. But in that vein, Harry, I read this article and I thought it was really interesting. So I've really been reading a lot and talking to this professor from NYU named Ruth Ben-Ghiat. And she talks about the strong man and how he has to project a certain level of masculinity. And this misogyny and homophobia are these main components of these autocrats. And the reason in that AI video that they picked you and you personally wasn't arbitrary. It was by design to send a signal to other young, progressive white men that they were pussies and or a piece of shit, or we will shit on you. It was totally a part of the authoritarian script in that stupid AI video to personally pull a young, white, male, popular liberal. It wasn't just arbitrary. And do you know anything about that, or have you read that same article? I can't remember where I read that, but I thought it was fascinating.
No, that sounds fascinating. And if you get the opportunity, send us it afterwards. I'd love to read it. But I don't have like any background information on what Trump's thinking was when posting the video. I've tried. I've reached out to journalists who I know, and I'm like, can you please ask him or ask a source in the White House what the thinking was? And nobody's done it yet, which I think is yet another failure in our media. But aside from that, Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think there's two main points. I think it's, targeting young, straight white men who are meant to be their base. And so when they see someone like myself or my peers not falling in line, they think, oh, we're just going to attack them and intimidate them and whatever.
Right.
I think that's a really good point. But I also think
humiliate. It's a humiliation ritual. Yeah.
Exactly right. And coming from the guy with the largest audience in the United States, the president, right? Sitting in this huge office, attacking a private citizen who's like 60 years his junior or whatever it might be. So I think that's correct. And also the broader point in my view on this video is the attack on free speech. It's not just about, me. I happen to be in the video, but there are plenty of people behind me, in Manhattan protesting against him. And I think what Trump did with that video is make it abundantly clear how he feels about dissent and people saying, well, you can go fuck yourself,
Right. And I do think it's interesting to point out that he has become so unattractive and so advanced in his senior citizen dementia era that he really has to be photoshopped quite a bit, because to emit this strong man thing, he's out of shape. He has a pot belly. He has cankles. He has bruises on his hands. He has a neck vagine. His hair is like a swirly thing. So their only option is to Photoshop him. And if you notice, they Photoshop him in these homoerotic type roles. And I was talking to a couple of my gay friends over the weekend, and they said about the fighter pilot thing that it was very gay, that a lot of gay men at Halloween, and of course this is anecdotal evidence, their go-to costume is the Top Gun outfit. And so all roads always seem to lead back to this internalized homophobia with these MAGA men. And again, we are huge allies of the LGBTQ plus movement. And if somebody is passively having to live their life in the closet, all of the empathy and grace and support to those people. But these fucktwats are actively demeaning the LGBTQ plus community, marginalizing, grifting off of them. And in the case of Lindsey Graham or Moses Mike Grinder Johnson or J.D. Vance, and this is just my opinion, and I've read about it on Elon Musk's free speech website, that they're fetishizing these people that they demean and weaponize against during the day. They're fetishizing those at night. And you can look no further to where bulks of them go and grinders crashing left and right. And so I think it's interesting how they game up a lot in these videos. Yeah, I mean, that is such a good point. And also, every time there's a major Republican gathering, it's just coincidental that grinder crashes. Right. Now, I'm not here to speculate, right? I'm not here to speculate as to what's taking place there, but that's a really good point. And you see it on the White House Twitter account, Instagram, whatever social media page. They post these really weird photos of Donald Trump, like riding a horse with a tank behind him. He's putting an American flag. It's so strange. And in addition to that, I get Republicans in my comments on Twitter, especially, making AI videos of me, a straight white guy, with other men, with other like elected officials, and I'm like, look, I say this to my friends. If you're taking time out of your day to go into an AI bot and be like, take Harry Sisson and make out with another man. Make him gay. Right. There's something, and again, we're big allies. Totally. There's something you got to be honest about here, Right. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to, and if you have that in your phone, you're storing it of these, people in social media doing this stuff, look, I'm not gonna speculate, but you got to be honest with yourself. There's something taking place. I just think if you look at how much that party talks about the LGBTQ plus community, they get triggered by rainbow flags. Yes. And you were talking about they were triggered by Billie Eilish or Taylor Swift, but also throw in Bad Bunny. These people operate from a position of fear. They're scared of a straight, white progressive. They're scared of the now liberal white women are ruining democracy. They're scared of Bad Bunny. They're scared of comedians. They're scared of Cracker Barrel. They're scared of The Little Mermaid. They're scared of you guys. On and on. Yes, I've had it, ladies. Yeah. These people, their default setting is this debilitating fear. yet they have to project this crazy masculinity that's so toxic. And then when you start deep diving into this, one of their big influencers, Benny Johnson, kind of outed himself with the gay cruise thing. And I just think, and I'm an interior designer when I'm not a podcaster. So I've hung around a gaggle of gay men my entire adult life. They don't talk about gay shit as much as MAGA talks about gay shit. It's unbelievable. And that's so fascinating that they make AI videos of you doing gay stuff, because clearly that's the shame and the repressed sexuality is a huge component, I think, of this regime.
If you are ever bored one night and you just want to like look into the mind of these MAGA losers, just, go into my Twitter comments and you'll see AI photos of me in like this skin tight leather. Or
I'm going to do it the minute we finish recording. So I'm going to be bored. I'm going to prioritize this to the top of my to-do list, Harry.
It's so my comment section on Twitter's the worst platform. Obviously, it's run by this weirdo Musk, who's constantly high. But yeah, if you just take a look at my Twitter, you will see the craziest, most unimaginable shit in there that any sane person that is functioning in society would not be able to think of. They're just freaks.
Right.
They're freaks.
Right. Like a normal person is not rolling around thinking about putting Harry Sisson in, Lycra.
A unitard.
And the AI, who sat there? I want to know who sat there and put Donald Trump in a fighter jet shitting on Harry Sisson and other people. I need to know who came up with that prompt and what they've been diagnosed with that makes them so weird and something and act in this way. It's crazy.
Oh, I know what they're diagnosed with.
Okay.
These are religious addicts that probably have some sort of sexual shame. And then oftentimes when they're not praying, they find themselves on Pornhub and they're looking at things that they think might be sinful. And it's just this, this crazy, crazy pattern. And I think a lot of these people think, okay, we can do all of this stuff, particularly like Moses Mike Grinder Johnson and some of the Supreme Court justices who have been just so fundamentally disappointing. I always think, what's the rub? Because everything they're doing is so anti-Christ-like. And I think that they've been such personal failures for themselves, and they have so much guilt and shame from their religion that they think, okay, I can do all this stuff. Gay stuff and other stuff, fly crazy flags and do all this mean stuff if I deliver America to Jesus. And I think that's literally what they believe. I think that's kind of what we're dealing with, is this crazy Christian cult. And listener, if you're a Christian light, I'm not talking about you, but every religion has these fanatics, and America has a crazy Christian problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, totally. And in addition to that, I also think we have I think a lot of America's problems can be boiled down to very small, very insecure, egotistical men in power. I really believe that. I think, and they have self-confidence issues. They have never been happy in their own skin. They have never accepted who they are, whether they be gay, straight, whatever, whoever they are. They've never accepted who they are. They've always been unhappy, and they take that sadness out on other people. And I think Donald Trump is that kind of narcissistic psychopath. But I also fundamentally believe that Trump is incredibly unhappy, and then he takes his anger out on other people.
What about Stephen Miller? What do you think about him? You think he's a sociopath?
Here's what I want for Stephen. Yes, and here's what I want for Stephen Miller. The White House has been talking about this UFC event that they're going to have for the 250th anniversary on the White House lawn.
Yeah,
I boxed for 4 years. I want to fight Stephen Miller at the UFC event. I want them to make it happen. Get me in there with Stephen Miller. He talks such a big talk on Twitter, and I want these elected officials participating in this UFC event on their front lawn. And I choose Stephen Miller. I bid on Stephen Miller for the fight, please. That's what I want.
Harry, I love it and I support it. Okay, let's shift gears here really quick. And before you came on, we were talking about MAGA is what MAGA is. And there are dipshits and fuck twats and all the stuff we talk about. And you can rinse and repeat, and they do the same shit over and over because they're painfully unoriginal, right?
Yeah.
But when it gets to the Democrats, I am really, really frustrated, not with all, but with a lot in leadership, that they are ambiguous, about positions that they need to have, and that I feel like they are compromised by the same entities that paid hundreds of millions of dollars to get Trump elected, which is AIPAC, paid the exact same amount that Elon Musk paid. And when we ask them direct questions about this, we get bullshit answers. And I can't think of anything more toxic that a Democrat could do right now would be to take donations from Elon Musk, who gave over $300 million to Trump to get him elected. AIPAC gave over $300 million to Kanks to get him elected. And somehow we're crazy or anti-Semitic or just don't get it if we call them out on that. And I just am at my wits' end with it. And so I want to know what your take is on that.
Yeah, well, I first of all loved, and I like Cory Booker. For the record,
I do too.
I like Cory Booker.
I like him too.
But I loved your clip with him. You know, if you know what I'm talking about, where you talked to him about this, and he kind of, again, I love Cory Booker. Please don't hate me. Where he was kind of gave that politician-esque answer when you asked him about this, and Jennifer, you were just like, "That's total bullshit." You know what I mean? That's just total bullshit. And I really appreciate that. And I think that's kind of the way we have to approach it. I think going into 2028 or even 2026, there should not be a single Democrat who takes money from AIPAC if they want to win. If they want to win, I mean, you know, they can do the risk return calculation in their head as, you know, I can take this money and put X amount of advertisements out, but it is so toxic for the brand now, and for them to then, it's not just taking the money, right? Taking the money is one thing, but then they get on your show or other people's show, and then when they're asked about it, they give that kind of bullshit answer, and people who are frustrated right now in our base can see right through it, and they don't want that. They don't want the tiptoeing, dancing around. They want the authenticity. And so, no, I mean, I agree. I just don't think that going into any future election, any Democrat can take it until further notice, at least.
I agree. And I like Cory Booker too. But I feel like at this stage in this coup that you have to be the most credible messenger that you can be. And if your response to a podcaster is, oh, these purity tests, and it's like, it's not a purity test, dude. We just see you being hypocritical about something and we want to call you out. And I think Democrats like Cory Booker, Hakeem, Chuckles, they need to do more podcasts and they need to put themselves through the grinder. Sorry. We have all these nicknames for all of them.
I just love them. I love it. Go ahead. Sorry.
They need to put themselves through the grinder. And this is what MAGA does. And if you misstep and you realize, oh shit, that didn't play very well, I need to take another look at this, and it makes you a better candidate and it makes us a better political party. That's the epicenter of democracy, feedback. And then here's another thing I'm noticing about the Democrats. Like, I feel like our party, we need to be the party of evolution. And I'm not talking about the Charles Darwin type. I'm talking about like, okay, we did the whole corporate thing after Citizens United. It fucked the working class. It left this vacuum. We need to get off that tit. We thought it was going to be okay. And we thought we could be pretty good at capitalism because it's Republican presidents that always tank the economy, not us. So we always had that. But we're leaving this vacuum. And grifters like Marjorie Taylor Greene can fill it, or Tucker Carlson, who I believe is going to run for president, can fill it. And we need to evolve and say, okay, that wasn't good. We're going to have to stop. And I feel like the Democratic establishment now reads like conservative, like that they want to preserve that system, like they're preservationists. And I not all of them. There's some that I just like. Bernie, love him. AOC, love. Crockett, love it. You know, there's some that I'm just like, love, love, love. But the ones that are in charge, I'm just like, what can we do to get them to not be in charge?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You know, we're just in such a weird moment with our leadership right now, where it really feels, I think, for average people that if you are a Democrat, you know, lifelong Democrat, been voting Democrat, that they don't feel like, number one, they're voting in favor of what you want to happen, but also number two, they're not standing up for you in the sense that they're not fighting against Trump. They're not standing up to these corporate PACs or this corporate money saying, we don't, you know, this is not us. And I think you made a good point on the vacuum that's left. If both the Democrats and the Republicans are fully on the side of, we're going to take money from all these huge corporations and we're going to use it to run our campaigns, people are not stupid. They will see that and they'll be like, well, these parties are the same. They're pissing me off. Right. And that's why both parties have such low approval ratings. And then you have, as you mentioned, someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who can take the populist approach, who has a big national figure, who's also Looney Tunes, and to average people, she might sound sane. And that's,
Right.
we cannot allow that. We are shooting ourselves in the foot constantly. And it is so frustrating. I know you guys feel that frustration too, but it's just these missteps that we're making that are allowing these grifting, losing, I will be nice, these fuckers to win.
That's what I like, Carrie. And that's the thing about the Marjorie Taylor Greene. If you look at what she's doing right now, it's very politically savvy. We all know not to fall for it. But if you're a troll online and you're mainly looking at cats or whatever, and then all of a sudden something political pops up in your algorithm, and then you hear her say something that makes sense, but you're not a political junkie like the three of us. And you're like, oh, well, she doesn't seem to be as crazy as she used to be. And you live in a flyover state where Pumps and I are from, and people are heavily indoctrinated to be Republicans. You'll vote for a crazy Republican more than a sane Democrat any day. And I think that Democrats operate under what I call assumption politics. We assumed in 2016 that Hillary would win. We assumed in 2024, when it was high times at the DNC, when we didn't say hi to each other because we were having too much fun at those creator lounges, we assumed these people saw what happened on January 6th and they're not going to vote for him. And right now, the Democratic leadership is assuming that people are going to think Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson are too crazy, but they haven't learned their lesson. People will vote for a crazy Republican. And her, all of a sudden, like you said, her interest in healthcare and this message that she has, we're not America first. It seems like we're Israel first. Why do they get healthcare? And why do they have higher education? To a person that lives in flyover America, when they hear that, that is going to hit hard as fuck. Yeah. Her intention is not based on human rights and that she sees genocide and her heart is broken. Her intentions are that she's a Christian nationalist, anti-Semite who thinks the Jews need to be in Israel in order for the rapture to happen. She's a rapture prepper. That's why she's saying that. But the Democrats are getting outflanked constantly right now by Tucker and by Marge because the leadership takes AIPAC money, the same fuckers that spent the same amount as Musk, the Heil Hitler guy, to get Kanks elected. And I'm just like, I've had it. This was before you came on. My grievance is right now, because I expect more out of these Democratic politicians. I need for them to fight for us. Listener, the hot book of the summer. Oops, I have it the wrong way. Take two. Listener, the hot book of the summer is now the cool book of the fall. It is, in Trump's America, I can tell you with absolute certainty, the best book that has ever been written. And believe me, a lot of people are talking about it.
Everybody's talking about it.
Everybody's talking about it. It took us one day to write it.
Because we're
on day one.
Because we took a cognitive test and it was book, write, done.
All right. Anyway, please buy our book. It's a great way to support us. It is a really fun read for the fall. Curl up with your pumpkin spice lattes and just enjoy living the American dream in dipshit Trump's America. A lot of people have absolutely zero idea how much money they have. You might have had a job where there was a little 401k and you completely forgot about it and you switched jobs. And that's why I cannot recommend enough Monarch. Monarch maximizes investments, increases your savings rate, and it's easily reviewing finances with your partner and or other financial advisor. And it helps you keep a clear view of your financial health week to week and long term. Monarch is basically built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does all of the heavy lifting. You can link all of your accounts in just minutes and get a clear data visual, smart categorization of your spending, and real control over your money. We promise you'll never need to touch one of those wretched spreadsheets again. Listener, don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code HADIT at Monarch monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with the code HADIT. All right, listener, fall is here and the kids are back in school, vacations are over, and it's time to start the cozy part of the season. And I want to introduce you to Bombas. And I mean this. I have a pair on my feet right now. They are the most comfortable socks on the planet. They also have slippers, tees, and underwear. You cannot go wrong with Bombas.
I love my Sherpa lined Sunday slippers. They're packing friendly. They're fantastic and cozy. I love them.
And the best part, listener, for every item you buy, Bombas donates one to someone experiencing homelessness. Over 150 million items have been donated thanks to customers. And with their happiness guarantee, if you're not 100% into what you got, they'll make it right. No risk, all reward. So listener, head over to bombas.com/hadit and use code HADIT for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/hadit. Code HADIT at checkout.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so frustrating to watch. Like, it's infuriating. I wake up angry every day at these people who are in power, meant to be representing us in our party, by the way. And I love a lot. You're right. I love a lot of these Democrats, to be clear.
I
love
do.
a lot, but a lot of them are just not. They don't get it. They don't get it. That's what I feel.
Right.
I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect between folks like us and average Americans and voters and these people who've been in Congress for so long. And I get how that disconnect can happen. There's probably a big bubble in DC where you get in and you don't realize you're in the bubble, but it's there. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is working. I guarantee it. I'm not saying this for sure. I guarantee she's working with these really savvy consultants who are telling her, some of the two biggest issues in America right now are the Middle East, where everybody is paying attention, whether you're politically involved or not. We've all seen horrific videos on our algorithms that just break your heart, right? That's a big issue. And then healthcare. These two big issues. So we want you to just be the outlier in the Republican Party and frame yourself as a populist who cares about the people and get out there and just spread that message. And as soon as she did that, she's going on The View. She's going on Bill Maher. She's going on CNN. She's doing all these places you would have never seen Marjorie Taylor Greene before. And now, unfortunately, as you mentioned, you have these people who are not so politically savvy, which I understand. They have jobs, they have families, they got to focus on themselves. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she doesn't sound so crazy anymore.
Right.
And they're coming up. And that route right there that we're talking about, the positions at Marjorie Taylor Greene, those are positions that, on those two topics at least, that we, the Democratic Party, should be getting out there and spreading. We should be the ones saying, we got to extend ACA subsidies. And we have to make that our entire thing right now. We got to talk about the Middle East and the atrocities we are seeing and be honest about that. Not say, it's a war and it's both sides. No.
Right.
And so we can't see ground to somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is so loyal to Donald Trump and so crazy on the inside, no matter what her 7-figure consultants are telling her to say.
Her 7-figure consultants seem to have a better pulse on the message than the Democratic consultants.
And that's that.
That's sad.
That sentence right there. I'm so infuriating. It's so infuriating that is the case. And this was part of one of my other I've had it's, but I'll just segue in.
Let's hear it.
I've had it with weak Democrats. That's what it is. We're kind of talking about that right now. I've had it with weak Democrats. And one of my main points, and I was talking to people about this yesterday, is myself and my peers, we've never met Ken Martin. We've never talked to Ken Martin, the DNC chair. He's never reached out to creators like me to talk about the messaging or anything like that. He's never reached out to my peers. And one of the facts that I learned about Ken Martin, which was really astounding, was one of the first things he did when he got into the DNC chair position was give himself a raise from $300,000 to $350,000. That means he's making double what any member of Congress is making, number one. And also, number two, for the first time in a long time, the Republicans have raised more money than us. We are strapped for cash as a party, and Ken Martin gave himself a raise. And I think Ken Martin has done some great stuff as DNC chair, but we're talking these little missteps that are seeding ground.
Is he the guy that poo-pooed David Hogg?
He must have been part of it. I can't speak to whether he was the main guy because I didn't really follow the internal discussion there all that closely. But I imagine he was part of it. I mean, he's the DNC chair.
Yeah. I've seen him speak a couple of times, and I just feel like one of the points that Cory Booker made in the episode is he said, people don't know who Chuck Schumer is. And I'm just like, fair enough. I get that. They don't. But I thought about it after that episode, and I thought everybody in America should know who the minority Senate leader is, because everybody knew who Mitch McConnell was. Everybody fucking knew who that motherfucker was.
That's right.
We all knew because he made sure we knew. And everybody should know who the DNC chair is right now. Everybody should know who the House minority leader is right now. These are layups to start speaking at the podium. And again, these guys are dorks. These are insecure, emotionally stunted cosplayers. You got Kash Patel, who was tweeting about his girlfriend last week, that she was a great American and a great country singing sensation. And she's done more for this country than anybody could do in 10 lifetimes. She's fucking 26. And so it's just like Kash Patel's girlfriend. Yeah.
And how old is he?
I don't know. Late 30s, early 40s. But
Continue,
just the fact that he thinks she's accomplished so much for the country. It's just so, these people are so idiotic. Okay. All right, Harry, let's move on and play our game. You're going to love it. It's called Had It or Hit It.
You're going to love it.
You're going to love it. Everybody loves it. Oh my God. Welcome to Had It or Hit It. I would hit it. Had it. I hit it every day, sometimes twice a day. Okay. All right. Had it or hit it, AI videos.
Oh, I've had it. I've had it. I did, the AI video that put me over the edge. I thought, maybe, some people let the boomers enjoy their AI videos, and that's not to hate on the boomers. I love the boomers, but let them enjoy their AI videos and things like that. Now I'm fucking over it. We gotta have some regulation there. I've had it with those.
Yeah. Tell me where you were when you saw that. Did somebody send it to you, or were you in your own phone and you saw it?
No, I was watching. So it was no King's Day. It was just after the protests. I'd gotten home. I'd been home for a couple hours, and it was Alabama, Tennessee. I was watching college football, and a friend of mine sent me a Truth Social link, which when that happens, there's something wrong. Nobody's on Truth Social. Nobody's on that health site. If you're sending a truth, there's something going wrong. And my friend said, I think, if I'm correct, you're in the president's AI video. And that was the text they sent me. And I without even clicking on the link, I looked at it and I was no, come on. Trump is crazy. He is off his rocker. He is suffering from cognitive decline. But there's no way he's attacking a 23-year-old on social media. That's just, come on. And so I click on the link, and then what do you know? There's this ridiculous AI video. And I had to watch it a couple of times to process what I had just seen and realize that this is actually coming from the guy with the nuclear codes.
Right.
And then, I think my reaction was just disbelief initially.
What a dipshit.
What a dipshit. What a dipshit. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We upgraded dipshit to fuck twat, because as the fascism escalates, we feel like our profanity should escalate along with it. Dipshit didn't seem satisfactory.
No,
okay.
I don't think so.
That was so wild when I saw that AI video of you, because I had been at the No Kings March in New York. Pumps was at the one in Houston.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And then I went and looked at, because I'm like, I wanted to see the aerial footage, because when you're in the march, you feel like it's big, but you don't really know. So I was actually on the internet. I think probably Instagram. That's really the only social media website I go on. Classic Gen Xer. And, it popped up and I was like, no fucking way. And then I'm going to find that article for you about them the people. He's not smart enough to have used you purposely, but the people who made the AI video, you were a purposeful choice to humiliate a young progressive male. That was by design of this. It was like a part of the autocratic playbook, which I think is really interesting. Okay, moving along. Had it or hit it, Gen Z politics.
That's I wish there was like a middle answer, because I've both had it and hit it. The reason I've had it is because, as we talked about in this episode, young guys that look like me, like consistently sabotaging not only themselves, but our country as well. But also, I think there are a lot of great people in Gen Z. I think there are so many talented activists out there who are far smarter than me and are doing the work on the ground and are getting people out to vote and register to vote. And they really care. So I look, you know what? Actually, I'll just say hit it because I won't let the losers drag me down. I'm going to say hit it because of these great people out there I know.
I agree. And I read some polling that Gen Z has completely switched, even young males. Women, of course, have always been to the left and continue to lead on sanity. But men your age have now are purging their Trump support, much like the Latinos for Trump and all of the other groups that he's losing. Okay, moving along. Had it or hit it, Joe Rogan.
Oh, I mean, that's the easiest one yet. I've had it with Joe Rogan. I think his podcast used to be something that inspired productive discussion, like a long time ago. That is not a long time ago. Now it's just, where can we find the craziest lunatic on vaccines or climate change or politics to come on and have a conversation? I mean, you'll have like a random guy on the sidewalk, it feels like, pulled into the Joe Rogan studio and ask deep questions about mRNA vaccines and have them give this incredibly uninformed take. And then that hurts people in the process. And then they're taking horse tranquilizer the next day. Like,
right. Right.
What are we doing? What are we doing? So I've had it.
And I think with Joe Rogan, have y'all seen these clips where like you can tell like he automatically attributes intelligence and knowledge to somebody that has money when they haven't earned that attribution? Like, especially when he's interviewing Elon Musk, he thinks, well, this guy's, got a bank account that could choke a bull, so he must know what the fuck he's talking about. When in actuality, Elon Musk is a junkie. He is completely strung out on ketamine. He is a drug addict. He is a baby producing addict. He cannot stop spreading his semen, which I read on his very website that he had a botched penile surgery. And I wouldn't mention that, but I read it on his actual website.
Right. Wow.
And the fact that he platforms and attributes intelligence to somebody who has money, I think is a real problem with American culture right now, because that's what I think people did to Trump. They attributed intelligence and success to him because he has money, when the truth of the matter is he inherited money. He lost all of that money. He, lies about his financial statements, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, moving along. Had it or hit it, read receipts.
Oh, had it. I wait. It depends. I've had it for myself. I like it when other people have them, though.
I completely agree. I agree.
Yeah, so because I am the worst texter in the world. People who are like my best friends will text me and I'll text them a day later. I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm sorry for the delay here. I'm so bad at it. And so I don't like that they know I've read their text message, but I'm okay with them knowing that they've read mine, so I can be angry at them if they've ignored me. So I'm a hypocrite, basically.
Completely.
Me too. I'm the same way about so many things, like the environment. I would like to think I'm an environmentalist, but I drive an SUV. I mean, I have so much work to do as a person. It's just fucking believable.
Well, that's the beauty of it. Constant progress, few steps forward,
That's that whole like evolving. We need to be the party of evolving, owning our mistakes, even if it's Cory Booker, even if it's Hakeem, and you want to, say we were wrong about AIPAC, we're refunding it, we're done. I think that we have to make space if they choose to do that. These are the leaders we have, and when it's going to be all hands on deck to fight fascism. Okay. Totally. Harry, last one. Had it or hit it, J.D. Vance's Halloween costume.
Oh, God, had it. I think it was Tommy Vitor who you were talking to, and he said, I'm so sick of losing to fucking losers. Mm-hmm. JD Vance is such a fucking loser. He is such a loser. He's one of those insecure men I just described earlier. And I think, Jennifer, you described him as like, a failed drag queen. It's what he always wanted. And then he had to write the book and, pretend to be that. And then now he's vice president. It's what he always wanted. He is such a loser. He's an insecure man. He doesn't have a job. All he does at the White House is troll. He went after me on Twitter. You cannot be an elected official at that high and going after 23-year-olds on social. No. That cannot be the way. And so I hate JD Vance. And so I've certainly had it with his dumbass costume, his dumbass face, and everything he does. But I'm not bitter.
I cannot stand this guy. I think it's such a window to his soul that he should be the ringleader on quieting and quelling these racist attacks and these xenophobic attacks, considering he has a wife that's of Indian descent and mixed race children. And then he's doing a slap and tickle on stage with Erica Kirk in the weirdest shit I have ever seen in my whole goddamn life. And then I read this online that people were saying, and this is devastating that he's not taking the lead on this, that Usha Vance was a political liability for him if he wants to be the heir apparent of MAGA. And you know what? I think this is a grown-ass man who has changed his name 3 times.
In adulthood.
3 times he's changed his name. And so this is just, I think he is just the most malleable
chameleon,
puss boy, bad eyeliner, whacked out, failed drag queen. I think he would be happiest if he could have been a drag queen. You know, in his book, he wrote that he thought he was gay when he was little. And then, you know, in college, he dressed up in drag a lot, which I support. You know, I think he could have gotten some tutorials from a more experienced drag queen and could have taken it over the finish line and maybe not failed. And he used to have a trans roommate. And the 180 to being a million times worse in the devolution of him and not evolving in a positive way, but regressing. It's just, ugh.
Yeah, I think JD Vance is going to soon come to terms with the monster he helped create, which is, you know, the people that are now in the Republican Party, the total racist loser freaks that are in the Republican Party. He and Donald Trump and members of it for years stoked the flames of hate. They said the way to go is be a white Christian male and have your wife be subservient, but also have her be a white Christian woman. That was the way that they framed their ideal society in America. And then they got elected off of that hate. They played into people's worst tendencies and they got elected. And now JD Vance is clearly, you know, as he's malleable, he's power hungry, he clearly wants to be president. And he's going to have to reckon with the beast of all of these people hating his family. And to be transparent, any man with worth anything would stand up to those people and say, don't come after my family. I'm going to stand up for my wife and kids. I full-heartedly believe that JD Vance will not do that. I think he is such a coward, a baby. And if they come after his wife, he'll do exactly what we've seen so far. Like, you know, I want her to convert and I'm trying to get her there and, you know, all this bullshit. I think he's going to do that, truly.
No, I don't think he'll ever stand up for his wife because he already would have. He's had the opportunity, but he doesn't. It's so sad. But didn't he? Okay, so he's changed his name 3 times in adulthood. He's changed his religion 3 times in adulthood. He changed his position on America's Hitler to being the vice president. This man will do whatever he thinks is in his best interest at the time. And he doesn't think
what's so scary about that, Pumps and Harry, is he will do not what's in his best interest, but somebody far darker and somebody far more psychotic. And that's Peter Thiel.
Peter Thiel, his mentor.
And so it's just, I mean, it's really overwhelming. It's overwhelming when you think about it. But that's why I think it's so important for us to collaborate with collaborators like you, a cross-generational collab, and for us to form communities and to help build our own democracy-centered ecosystem. And Harry, I just cannot tell you what a joy it's been having you on. And I hope that we can meet you in person, maybe at some victory party somewhere at some point. And I'd love to collaborate with you. Again, where are you based out of?
I'm in New York City. So if you guys
Oh my God, I just moved here.
You're in Manhattan?
Yeah, I just moved to Manhattan a month ago.
Oh my gosh.
My youngest child graduated from high school and I sent him to California. And I decided I didn't want to live in the Bible Belt anymore because I was always the skunk at the garden party, being the progressive atheist in the Bible Belt. And so I was sick of it. And I love Oklahoma and I have a lot of great friends there, but I was really exhausted with a Bible culture. So I moved to New York.
Wow. You, Have you been to New York before, aside from living here?
A bunch. Yeah.
Oh God. Well, so you know it then. I was going to say you are going to love it. It is. I love New York City. It is such an amazing place. And so congratulations on the move. That is so cool. And I'm here, you're here, and I know a lot of other people are here. So we can definitely make something happen and do some cool stuff.
All right. Sounds great, Harry. Thanks so much.
Thank you guys.
Harry.
I appreciate it.
I'm so impressed with we've had some young progressives on this podcast. And I'm not going to browbeat Gen Z because I think that generation growing up with these phones and a lot of their coming of age years, Trump being either in power or dominating the news cycle during Biden's. And I just am so impressed with the ones that have found their political voices. I think it was, what was that kid we had on?
Dean Withers.
Dean Withers. I liked him a lot. And he was like 18 or 19.
Ridiculous.
They are Harry Sisson.
Yeah. I think they're doing so much to maximize the message in their age groups, particularly. And I can't help but compare them to what I was doing at 23, which was fucking embarrassing myself, being an asshole, making horrible decisions. And so I'm like, I applaud this young generation. They're doing really good work. And they've had not only have they always had Trump, they had COVID. Remember, they were isolated.
And then I just think
a lot.
And the cell phones, I just don't think we can overstate the damage of disconnecting them from other human beings in very critical developmental years that those cause. And we're starting to see the damage of that. And so I'm so happy to collaborate with him. So listener, make sure you do us a favor. A great way to support this podcast is to buy our book. And we've been telling you about it for quite some time. Life is a Lazy Susan of Shit Sandwiches. It's also very important to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, or if you watch our podcast on YouTube. And it's also important to comment to engage the algorithm. Isn't that correct, Pumps?
That is absolutely correct, Jennifer. And a review is nice, but if you hate our guts, please review. Leave a long, detailed note about why you hate us in the reviews. We'd like to go over it together.
Spend as much time as possible thinking about us.
Yes.
Put that energy into it. All right, Pumps, tell them.
We will see you next Tuesday and Thursday.
I'll tell you what I've had it with. Let's hear it. I've had it with that.
Listen up, patriots, gaytriots, and natriots. We have a new podcast that has dropped. It's called iHip News. It's Monday through Friday, every day, 15 to 20-minute hot takes on the political landscape of the United States of America, always served with a side of petty grievances.
We are on all the available platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, whatever you get your podcasts, and YouTube.
Please go rate, subscribe, and review so that we will chart upwards with America's greatest legal mind. Pumps, what does an eagle say?
Caw-caw!
A little bit more enthusiasm.
Caw-caw!
That's it. That's
caw-caw!
That's the patriotism that this country needs right there.